Yeah.
Ciao Chiara.
Ciao. Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I'm admitting to the meeting all our Deloitte colleagues. I'm having difficulties in letting in Dario, Sorrentino Dario, don't know why.
Let me try. Admitting.
It's taking longer than usual. It's like admission in progress, but is blocked in the status.
Never happened before.
Yeah.
Let's see with Giancarlo.
No, with all the others is working. I'm seeing only Dario. Maybe Martino, can you please tell him to try again to join the meeting?
Yes, I will do it.
Okay, here we go. With all the updates in Teams, there is always something not working correctly. No. Okay, let's try again. In the meantime, I'm checking who is missing. Ciao Giancarlo.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, everyone else already joined. And maybe... No, I'm not seeing Dario.
No, I see in the back of the list, but because I think he connected with the Guala account, so I cannot chat with him.
Ah.
I'll try to call him.
Thank
no,
you.
he wrote me. Okay, he said, okay, let's begin. I will join you.
Okay, then we can start.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. So this is the first meeting where we will have some insight about the future to be model, let's say. As I anticipated last few days ago, sorry, we are going to see what will be the make-to-order model. Actually, this is not the final version of make-to-order model for the group. This is just what we have defined together with Gualas Italy. So precisely together with the Planning Italy department and together with the CIO and other IT colleagues from Italy. So what we will do today is to share with you this model as you all work in terms of make-to-order production, and it is also your main production model as we had the chance together during the last days. I will present the model, and of course, every time there is something that you see cannot be fitting, cannot be the best fit for your business, please let us know, because today is the right time in order to share with us which are your business requirements concerning the new model. So in the new model, you will see different process steps and also a new applicative landscape. So if you can go to the next slide, Giancarlo, please. So things will be different from today. And these, of course, will, let's say, have an impact on your day-by-day activities that has an expectation to make the the business as usual activity is more efficient with respect to today, since we have the most advanced version of systems, both in terms of planning activities and scheduling activities. But of course, it will represent a change. And don't worry, because as we said many times, there will be like a change management team that will make this transition to the new target model smoother and softer. So, as I said, please stop me every time there is something that does not fit your business model, and every time you have to you need some clarification about the future model, about how it will work the system. Here in this call, we have also the colleagues from the SAP team that will implement SAP S/4HANA, so they can answer you any technical questions you may have. And also we have the colleagues from the Sedapta team that will be the new scheduling tool that will substitute your current scheduling tools that may answer you any technical question that you may have on this platform. So to start, as I said, there will be a new applicative landscape. So the main ERP system will be SAP S/4HANA. And within the ERP system, we expect to have a great coverage of all the planning of all processes, of course, and among these processes, the production planning processes, with the use of MRP functionalities that we will see in the next slide. And while concerning the production scheduling, we will have a vertical system, an external system that of course will be integrated with SAP S/4HANA, which is called Sedapta platform. It is an advanced planning scheduling system, but will have, let's say, some functionalities for a first period of time, and then it will follow a more advanced version of the system to support your scheduling activities. But we will go into the detail in a few minutes. So, next slide, please. All right, so there is a lot of elements in this slide, so I will start slowly to make the storytelling of this flowchart, and to tell you which are the considerations that we made with Italy in order to define this model. Of course, this is a global template, so this doesn't mean that has to fit your current business model the 100%. Maybe you may have some specificities, and you do not work on 3 different time horizons. Okay, so this is just the time to share with you the common model and try to understand if it's pretty much similar to what you are doing. Of course, it will not be similar to what you are doing, because it's the to-be model. This is also a further step even for Italy, because it's not replicate the current planning, production planning and scheduling process that is in place in Italy. So let's start. First of all, you see here in the slides that we have a different box and different horizons of time. So thank you, Giancarlo, for using the pointer option, so it's much clearer. Okay, so we have 3 different time horizons, so long-term, medium long-term, and short-term. So when we talk about production planning, we are basically among the long-term and the medium long-term planning. When we talk about scheduling, we are in the very short time. In the process, you see some boxes that have this arrow shape that represent basically the event, the process event. They have a different border according that the activity is an automatic activity, a manual input activity, or a manual activity. So, and the dark green box under the process event is the system support, while the blue box above the activity is basically the ownership for that activity. So this is just how to read this slide. And now, step by step, we will go through the process. So the first thing that we defined with Italy is that there is a long-term horizon where we have, let's say, a production planning activity that starts from a sales budget or sales forecast. So this is something that is in place in Italy, and I know that not all of you now work on forecast or do not have forecast to produce this production budget. So now I will tell you how is it in Italy and why we define this long term, and then I will ask you if this is something that you also do today and or not.
Chiara, just for confirmation from all the countries, but I believe that the sales budget at the beginning of the year is a common document for everyone, and maybe also the update of this budget, like the 3+9 or the 9+3, is something that all the Guala companies are asked to manage. Can you confirm from UK, Mexico, and Germany? I see some yes.
Yes.
Yes, from Mexico, yes.
Germany,
Okay.
yes, as well.
Yes.
So for and sometimes it's like a nightmare. Okay. So I think
Yes.
so I think the really first box, the one on the left, is a common input document for everyone. Chiara, please proceed. So.
All right. So yeah, exactly. So as Martino said, so the process starts with the sales budget and sales forecast definition. So for example, in Italy, this is something that is made on Excel. So what we define is that this is something that we are not defining in this working group, how to create this forecast or sales budget. So we start from the assumption that in any ways, this sales budget and forecast is defined. For example, in Excel, this will be the input for our planning activity. The planning activity that we are talking into this horizon is not something that is meant to be the input for production. Is kind of a strategic organization of the facility, of the employees in the plant, of the shifts and so on, or even in order to try to understand which is the best supply strategy for long-term raw materials such as aluminum. So what we define is that let's take an input in SAP S/4HANA, this sales budget or forecast that have been defined by the sales department, in order that we can take advantage of a new tool that is inside SAP S/4HANA called LTP, that means long-term planning. And this tool, taking in input the sales forecast, will define the production budget. So basically, it will allow to allocate unit volumes, okay, in a certain time horizon. So, for example, in Italy, they take the sales forecast, which is defined at SKU level. They look at 12 months horizon, and each month, which is the bucket of time, they allocate the different volume of pieces that have to be produced based on the sales forecast.
Can I
And
ask
so-
a short question?
Yeah.
12 months means June 2022 to June 23, or the year?
Yeah, well, actually, it depends from the frequency. So, for example, if they are required to perform like a 3+9 production budget, it means that from April 2022, they will make the forecast at year end, the production budget at year end. So from April to December 2022.
So all within the year,
Within
not rolling
the year. And
like June to June, July to July, August to August.
Exactly. So this is as today.
Mhm.
But since this activity in terms of performing a production budget today is just at year end, because it's something that is required from the finance department to define some target objective for the company. Tomorrow, since this production budget is used by the planning department even for other purposes, such as defining which is the best supply strategy for long-term material, organizing the production, and so on, what we discussed with Gualas Italy, with the planning department from Gualas Italy, is to move also from a year-end to a rolling production budget definition. So what you were saying before, June 2022 to June 2023, this of course is something that can be done. The system supports every kind of horizon you decide to implement. This is not the frequency or the strategy that you define in order to perform the forecast or production budget, as you want to call it, that does not impact the technical solution in SAP S/4HANA. I don't know if I explained myself.
I'm fine. It's okay. So currently we do within the year the forecast, but the system gives the possibility to do it in a different way. But currently we
Exactly.
do it like Italy is doing it.
Exactly.
And also, Chiara, just one question here. For example, this system can give you also the capacity. For example, for the budget 2023, we will put all the data for the budget 2023, and it will give me the capacity that I have for each machine. So if I'm booked or if I'm over capacity or shorter, can it give you that number?
I understand your question. I don't know if Dario is here because
This is yes. Yes, the answer is yes, because long-term planning, by long-term plan, you can check the production constraint for each specific work center. So for a single SKU, you can check the capacity for the work center and to complete the first analysis to understand if you have or not the production constraint for each work center.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can I add a general comment on this first layer, the long-term one? So I think we should see this part of the process as an opportunity, okay, or a new functionality that you can use or you can have. Because as we said, the really first box on the left, the sales budget, all of you have to do it. And just a quick confirmation, I believe that you do in the same way. So you have at item level and for each month. I believe it's the same for everyone. I believe it's like a... No, you don't do...
Profile level and customer. Does
Profile level...
Italy do it by... of course, item means we have several decorations. Is Italy doing it by item?
Yeah, by SKU, yes. Okay, so you're managing an higher grouping, so by format and client, and with detail by month.
Yeah.
And in quantity, not maybe also in value, but at least also in quantities
Quantity and price.
and price. Okay. For the other ones?
This is Germany.
Yeah, that was Germany.
While UK,
We don't hear you.
I'm sorry, Katrina, we cannot hear you.
You are not on mute, but we cannot hear you. Not
While
yet.
on UCP, we do it to SQU level.
Okay.
Okay.
Also in Spain.
SKU.
Mexico also SKU. Yes.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the same.
SKU.
Yeah.
Okay, so only Germany is not managing an SKU, but at least is at quantity and per month. So I believe it's okay. This is the initial consideration. Then the second consideration I want to do and to share, as I said, is this has to be seen as an opportunity, no? Because starting from the fact that you have a sales budget and subsequent forecast, what you can do now at the beginning of the year is to understand, as the question placed by somebody before, is how can I see if I am over capacity or under capacity and so on. I believe that today you are managing this consideration in Excel files or other tool. The idea is to provide you a standard tool from SAP to make this kind of let's say simulation, consideration, and so on. So it is not to be intended as let's say an operational layer. So you don't start producing based on the budget, but it's only useful to see how you are, how is the outlook of your year is impacting your production resources and also the purchasing needs of raw material. So it's like I don't know, I would say like a simulative layer, something to make some consideration and some evaluation at the beginning of the year or during the year. So it's like a plus an additional process that you can manage during the year.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Martino. This is exactly what I was trying to say before when I said that this is a global template, but it doesn't mean that you have to work on 3 different horizons as we agreed with Italy. So as Martino said, let's take this long term as an opportunity to make simulation along the year. What we have to do...
Sorry, I have another question to Italy because
yes.
There was always a discussion about doing forecast by item or on a higher level. If you do the forecast by item, you have any help for that, or is it more accurate, or what is the advantage of doing it by item?
No,
because it's much more work.
Yes, I don't know. I think we don't have any representative from Italy here that can try to answer to you. I might try to give you my answer from my point of view. Of course, I don't know Guala from a long time. So for a long time, so that's my feeling. So today they work at SKU level, but also speaking with Stefania Cazzola, who is managing this planning activity. At the end, she works with some grouping, some logical grouping of the items. So she works with the formats or the macro family of the product. So from this very point of view, is not really giving you a very significant advantage, or you're managing the problem at a really detailed level, at SKU level, but at the end she's working with a grouping of items. Also because, I don't know, at the beginning of the year, I'm calling this object with the old name, but during the year you have a new version or a new graphics, so it's changing. So working with at the SKU level is not really the real objective. The real objective is to have a quite reliable forecast or budget to understand which is the impact on the resources. So even if I'm having SKU1, SKU2 that are both working on the production machine number 7, it doesn't matter now which one is SKU1 or 2. I want to see the impact on that resource, or how much aluminum do I have to buy, or how much plastics or master batch do I have to buy for the year. So I think this is just more to work on a common model, and from what you all have said, it seems like almost everyone is working at SKU level except from Germany.
I'm fine as long as I can work on a higher level.
Yeah, you do. Indeed, the thing that will always remain in the future is always the possibility to aggregate SKU by common characteristics. So you can do the forecast, you can have a forecast, and you can do a production budget based on item code, but of course, based on attributes that we define at master data level, we can have different logic in the system that will allow you to work at a higher level by grouping these common characteristics.
And as I was saying last time, we have a help to update the ongoing forecast. Of course, not for the budget for the next year, but for example, for 8+4, because now in our system, we have a help and we see the fixed orders the customers have placed. So that gives us a help when doing the forecast. Is this also possible in SAP?
Yes.
Good.
All right. So next step concerning this long-term horizon is that, of course, you can see here we are a very high-level process representation. It will follow a more detailed phase where we will go into the technical aspect of SAP. So there will be also the possibility to see, and there will be, of course, the meeting where LTP tools will be shown, so that you can see which are the functionalities that can provide this system. And the other exercise that we have to do is try to list all the business requirements in order to understand if this long-term planning tool can cover as much as possible what you are currently doing extra system. Okay, so for example, in Italy, the production budget today is performed in Excel based on the forecast created in Excel. But the production budget Excel format they have in Italy is very complex in the sense that there are a lot of sheets in this Excel file, because of course every kind of consideration, even in terms of capacity or saturation on the different lines, are in this Excel. So what we will have to do is try to match as much as possible what is in the Excel file together with what is provided by standard from SAP. All right, so if there are no other questions, I will move to the second horizon.
Sorry again that I have another question. We are doing the planning based on sales forecast against capacities in Excel as well. And we also have to calculate the stock level.
All right. Yes.
You know what I mean? So starting with a stock level, because I think we were all asked to keep a certain level of stock, not too much capital in the warehouse. And when we do the planning, we always start with month end or a start of stock level, and then we also calculate the level till end of the year or something like this, or till end of the quarter.
And sorry, considering the stock of both the finished goods and also raw material and semi-finished goods?
When you do the planning and plan the production for the month,
Okay, so
and of course you have a certain stock level, and you have a capacity which is not filled. You have to take care that you do not end up by too much pre-production, because then finally you have a too high
Capitals.
stock level. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And on which tool do you manage this
Excel.
calculation?
Excellent.
On Excel.
Yeah.
Okay. And the value of the stock and the quantity of the stock is only for finished product or all the items?
Finished products. And
Okay,
finally,
so
of course, finance is working with the capacity planning we give to them.
okay, so you will today you're taking care about the impact on the value of the stock, considering okay, how much you're producing versus the demand, and so the expected stock level at the end of each month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We take this as a functional requirement, so to be to understand how to cover this point. I think it's a basic request, but let us take note of this request. Okay.
All right. I will move forward. So we are basically moving to the medium long-term planning. So here we are in the very production planning, so where we have the actual sales order from the client. So our input is the sales order that is created by the sales department or customer service in SAP S/4HANA. And starting from this sales order, of course, we have the MRP functionality provided by SAP S/4HANA that will explode the bill of material starting from these needs in the sales order, in order to create what is called the planned order, so the production planned order. So MRP basically starting from these needs, from the sales order, the level of stock availability, and other basically production order that have been already released, other transfer order for other plants, or purchase order that are already being issued. It will create the production planned order for all the different levels of the bill of material. Of course, here in this meeting, we are just talking about a production order for finished product and semi-finished product. Concerning the purchase order request generated by MRP, this is a topic that has been discussed yesterday during the source to pay meeting, and maybe some of you have been involved into this meeting. And I know that MRP functionality on the raw materials and other components, it's something that is required for the 2B model. So what we confirmed with Italy is that in terms of production, we will also take advantage of MRP functionality. So thanks to MRP functionality, production orders which are under this specific status, which is planned, are created in the system. And this is something that until it is a production order under the status plan, every time the MRP is run, it can change the date, and you can change the quantity based on the different needs or sales orders that are basically coming into SAP system.
Okay.
Can
Sorry,
I just...
I just ask a
Right, go on,
question?
Andy.
It's Andy here from UCP. I was just wondering, the sales order creation, will we also get an MRP message on a forecast, or is it only purely on a sales order?
So here we are discussing about real sales order from a specific client.
But because we also, as I said previously, we build to forecast, and there's occasions where our customers don't firm that forecast up into a sales order until 2 weeks before the delivery date.
Yeah, you have forecast from, yeah. This
No,
is
go ahead.
something that, yeah, this is something that can be taken as input in the MRP, of course.
Okay, good, thank you.
Simply, Martino, please, do you want to integrate?
No, yes. In this case, Andy, the forecast that you receive from the client, as we have discussed or understood, it's in any case an hard commitment for the client. So he's anticipating you the needs, and then he would just place the real formal sales order just before the shipping part. But from your side, it's like a mandatory request from the client to start producing those quantities. So
Okay.
in this sense, I would say, as Chiara said, yes, we can consider as a sales order creation, or at least we can also, I don't know, add, Chiara, like a binding forecast in addition to sales order creation. So in any case, is a NAR commitment from the client with also a name of the client. Maybe from a technical perspective, we can, I don't know, differentiate two different type of document, or I don't know, we can have some suggestion from the SAP team to differentiate which is already a sales order versus an anticipation of a demand plan always placed by the customer, if you agree, Andy.
Yeah, that sounds good. It would be good to have the two variants there, so we know what is a firm sales order and what is a customer forecast. Yes.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
I was just...
Andy, you for clarification, and the client forecast, and then you have the sales order that comes later.
Yes.
After that, the sales forecast. So
yes. So
you
they
start
will give us a
producing
forecast,
based
possibly.
on sales.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
No, please go ahead.
All right. So we can receive a forecast maybe 13 weeks in advance. We will then start to make that maybe 8 weeks before that is due. But absolutely, it will then become a sales order, usually within 2 weeks before it is due to ship to the customer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Can I ask you in which scenario, make to stock or make to order?
Make to order on that one, yes.
Okay. Because in general, in SAP, you can manage the forecast or the list of independent requirement and the sales order. So in this way, you can segregate real sales order and forecast. And SAP can automatically consume the independent requirement with the real requirement that you have a sales order, no? To avoid to produce 2 times the same SKU. So in any case, I confirm that in SAP you can have 2 different kind of independent requirement, forecast or a sales order requirement.
And both will create MRP messages to add work orders.
Or sorry?
And both of them will create an MRP message
Exactly.
for a work order.
Yes.
Yes. Excellent.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question here in Mexico. I have the same situation as Andy just said. Because we received the forecast, I understood that we can, in MRP, it's okay because we can plan based on the forecast. And then when we receive actual purchase orders from the customer, we just put it to invoice in the invoice department or shipping department the purchase orders from the customer. So in order not to generate another production, order when the purchase order from the customers arrive, would that be in a different? How can we classify that?
Yeah, in SAP you don't have a double requirements because you have a first step in which you have a forecast. And second time you have a purchase order from the client that in SAP correspond to a sales order. And SAP consider only consider the consumption of the sales order with the forecast. To avoid that MRP plan 2 times the same quantity.
Okay, it goes to a different, okay. All right, no, that's good, thank you.
I was just going to ask a very quick question about how often MRP runs, or can you schedule it to run in as often as you like?
Yes, you can run manually or you can define I don't know, you can plan daily, weekly, every month. We can define
Generally it's daily.
together
Dario,
the job.
Dario, in SCC it's running daily, so.
Today, okay. But it's not a technical constraint, no?
Okay, other questions?
I'm not sure if I really understood. So it's possible to run if you want, but normally it's running daily. Is that what you were saying?
Hello, Hildegard. Yeah, basically the MRP in SAP, you can run it as many times as you wish manually, or you can schedule it to run it daily. Generally, what it was the approach for Italy and what is right now being done for Italy and Spain is that the MRP runs daily, and there is a particular MRP which is it's called the regenerative MRP, which is more in depth. I don't know if the same difference applies in S4, Dario. If there is also the NETCH and the NEOPL in S4,
it's the
I
same.
don't know.
It's the same. It's the same.
So same logic. So basically, there is a more in-depth MRP that makes a more thorough update every week generally, but basically, generally, it's running daily.
It's is that enough for Italy? Are they happy with that? For me, it seems a little bit less. So it might be good to have the opportunity to do it manually. In
Let's go one step at a time. So the first thing will be to start using familiarizing the system and putting all the data in. Then using the system is next step.
Yes, Hildegard, so there is not a standard solution as you already understood. We are going to detail this during the waves. So we will see, we'll analyze your needs and we will see the best way to proceed in your case.
Okay. So, well, we will take into account the fact that we have 2 different inputs, so forecast and sales order creation. So we will also, let's say, modify the flowchart accordingly. But let's start now from the fact that the MRP functionality has generated a planned production order. Okay, so this is an object which has this specific status, planned. So as far as it is planned, it means that you can modify quantity and data. And every time the MRP runs, this updates the date of the planned order based on the independent needs that are input that are basically entering, sorry for the terms, in SAP S4HANA. At this time here, we
Sorry,
have...
Chiara, just to make an example.
Mhm.
Today, the sales order sales order is created. The MRP runs and it generates a planned production order to cover that sales order. After, I don't know, and nothing happens. After 6 hours, I don't know, the customer service is deleting that sales order because the client changes mind. When the MRP runs, it will delete automatically the production plan order because there is no need to cover that sales order which has been deleted. Or other example, the customer service changes the dates from the sales order. So before was for the end of November, and then is anticipating by 1 week until the production order is still only planned by the system. That system will automatically realign the requested date 1 week before. So it's adapting the planned order, the production planned order with the demand, with the independent requirement. So it's free to update or move or update.
Okay, sorry, another question from me. Apologies, it's Andy again.
No. That's exactly the scope of this meeting. So let's go.
So if that that original sales order does move, does the system keep a history of those movements?
Say it again, sorry?
Will the system keep a history of those movements? For example,
Okay.
if a sales order goes on for
That's
the
too technical.
1st of December, the customer then pushes it out to March, then comes back to us at the end of November and says, but the sales order they put the sales order back to that original date, but we've not planned to make it because it's moved, if that makes sense.
I don't know if, I mean, this is a really technical question of Darius connected, or we can take the point, or...
You can take the point. We can.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
so
check
tracking
that.
of the change or the movement of the planet dates. Okay.
Yes.
And
not that our customers ever changed their mind and then claim that they didn't, but.
Mhm.
Sorry,
Yes,
Hildegard, again. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. When he's talking about history, so we have currently the possibility to check the changes, also if their price has changed or the quantities. So, and this is sometimes really helpful.
to take track of the changes, sorry, Hildegard, of?
Yeah, to check the changes. You enter an order and it may happen that the quantity will change, the date will change, the price will change. And we can currently track finally who had made changes and when changes were made. If
On the sales,
required. And this is sometimes really helpful.
On the sales order, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, in the sales order, yes. You can check the history of the sales order, what was changed when from each user.
Okay.
But Andy, sorry, were you referring to sales order as well, or to production order changes?
Well, it's more the sales orders, because if the production order changes, it's moving due to a change to the sales order. So as long as we have the history on the sales order, that should then give us why the work order has moved. Yes, thank you.
There is a raised hand from...
Yes, hi. Yeah, a question, because as you know, we already have SAP. So for us, this logical is more or less the same as we use right now, but there are some questions here. In the point of the production plant orders, that is still provisional, let's say, this SAP is suggesting a production order based on stock availability of raw materials. You mean that if you don't have raw material enough to do an order, the SAP is not proposing you a provisional order? It's just to understand.
No. So basically, the MRP functionality for SAP works based on stock availability. We refer to the finished product stock availability generated by the same sales order. So basically, once if we are saying that we are creating the planned production order, the finished product planned production order.
Chiara, I think your audio is bad. I don't know if other one can confirm, but
I will turn off the incoming video.
okay. It was only me, or do you have like bad quality from the?
Yes, it was
Yes,
not.
some
Okay.
buffering, yes.
Or was our smart way not to answer your question? Okay.
Can you hear me
Yes.
now?
We're having
Can you
experience.
hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so basically this SAP is working with infinite
Yes.
capacity, infinite raw materials, and infinite everything.
No, for capacity, I believe yes. Let me take the point with Dario. I don't know if he...
It's right. The MRP will create, in this case, planned orders. But if you don't have, I don't know, stock enough of raw material, MRP generate exception message to suggest to the planner to postpone, for example, that planned order.
Okay, super.
So in this case, the good maintenance of the lead time of each raw material is also a key element, no? To have the more information and more reliable information the system having within the master data, the more smart proposal the system will propose to you. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Chiara, try to talk. I don't know if we can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Let's hope. All right. So because I can hear you well, so I don't know why my connection is struggling against me. Okay. So at this point here, you see the third step in this medium long-term horizon. So we have this activity that we call feasibility analysis of the proposed production plan. So MRP created all the production planned orders along a certain horizon of time. But then we have like a manual activity supported by SAP S/4HANA that is basically the check that the production plan proposed by the MRP is feasible in the horizon of time based on the saturation of production lines and other consideration that you might have. For example, you can check, for example, the finished product stock availability that has been generated by other sales orders. So if I make an example, if there is a certain client that requested you, let's say, a certain amount of closures, but then you produce more than that certain amount of closure requested into the sales order, and this quantity is in stock, you can also choose to, let's say, take into account the fact that you have this finished product stock availability, and you can, based on this consideration, you can change the quantity on the production planned order proposed by MRP. So what we are trying to say is that SAP S/4HANA also support your capacity analysis in terms of infinity capacity. So there will be certain tools such as the possibility to check the saturation of production line in your time horizon based on the production planned orders that are currently proposed by MRP, and also based on the other production orders that have been already released. So by looking at this, SAP S4HANA tool will show you every time if there is an overcapacity on a specific production line, so that you can manually move your production order that are planned along the horizon of time and on the work center that you prefer. So this is an infinite capacity analysis just for a matter to understand if this proposed production plan is feasible. So you in this box you also see that you can take different considerations, such as match what is your the content of your production planned order with the expected commitments that you define into the production budget in the long-term run. Okay, this is something that in Italy is done. This is why we are reporting it. So many considerations can be done. SAP can support you in doing so. And thanks to that, you can change the quantity on the planned order and the date of the planned order. And once you have defined the final, let's say, data of your planned order, you can firm it. So the last event here is the firm of planned order in terms of date and quantity confirmation. This event is very important because you are basically fixing the planned order in the time horizon that you define. So starting from that moment on, once the MRP runs, it will not touch the planned order anymore. So it is fixed. And here you can basically tell the customer service, tell the same department the date of your planned order so that they can confirm this date to the client. So,
one question, sorry, it's
yes.
me again. Just obviously when those planned orders are coming and when MRP runs, I'm assuming there's the facility to put in batch quantities there and minimum order quantities, so that if the customer's asking for 20,000 but a full pallet is 22,000 or 18,000, it will automatically request it to that level?
We take the point. I believe the answer is yes. Of course, first point is to take the order from the customer side, customer service side in the right way. Then the MRP have a set of MRP rules, such as the minimum batch size.
It's right. It's one of the master data parameter that you can fix.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yes, Hildegard, I have another question regarding the fixing. So you have to fix every time as soon as the date is fixed for confirmation for the order. So in high season, if capacity is not enough and I have to switch manually between the orders, we have to unfix and to fix to a new date. Each order which will be delayed in favor to another order. Did I understand that correctly?
I mean, I think that you can choose when you want to firm the planned order. I mean, you can have the planned order with a certain date, and you have the time to change the planned order every time you want until it is firm. And one is firm, I guess, but Dario, please correct me if I'm wrong, that you can still force the fact that you can change the date on a firm planned orders. The difference is that with respect to the planned order, it's just that the MRP cannot modify it automatically, but manually you can do it. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct.
And I have a small question. Am I right in thinking that the material requirements for the polymer or the aluminium, for example, would only come after the planned order has been firmed?
No.
It wouldn't. So your
No.
material requirements are generated when it's just a planned order?
The material requirement is generated automatically from MRP every time you have a forecast on the finished good.
Right,
So
okay.
MRP is a multi-level. So MRP will generate a planned order for the finished good, planned order for the semi-finished good, and a purchase requisition for the component, raw material, and so on. And
right,
this
and
is
you can't change that then. So in other words, if we only wanted to see the material requirement coming through after the planned requirement had been firmed, we can't do that?
If you decide to form, for example, a planned order on the finished good, and you want to form say purchase requisition for the raw material, you can do it.
Right, okay. But let's say that the forecast accuracy isn't very good because as I was explaining, you know, we tend to work mostly to forecast and we're not confident in the numbers we're seeing and therefore we don't want to buy materials unnecessarily. We do have the flexibility to, as I say, for example, only buy against a firm planned order.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And in any case, consider that MRP generate a purchase requisition for the raw material that is not a purchase order. The step after is to generate a purchase order to buy something. A purchase requisition is only a suggestion from MRP to buy something.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Hildegard again. I have a little question regarding our lacquering and printing lines, semi-finished products. Is this planning then connected to the planning of sheets, decorations, capacities on the semi-finished production lines?
Yes, of course. I mean, as MRP works on multi-level bill of material, you have all the production planned order for all the different BOM bill of material levels. So you can show and you can see the production capacity at infinite, of course, the production capacity for all the work center and for all the production orders that are planned.
It's currently more or less equal to that, but we had the problem with our system that we have tolerances in production. And when the system works as it works, one-to-one, how can you manage the tolerances? Because it will always look probably, I think so, at the final data. So 1 million is requested and maybe we produce 900,000 due to any reason or more. How will the system handle that?
I'm not sure I got the point. So say it again, the example. So you're producing
for example, we have tolerances, so we always put 5% more sheets on stock than normally we would need for the sales order. We always book full pallets, so we have always full pallet quantity we put in the system, and we put 5% more for printing and lacquering. And there's scrap between all those semi-finished levels.
Yes, yes.
So, and in case you produce less in printing already, you will get a new order to do the difference.
Okay.
And this was a problem in our system to manage, because those tolerances will give a lot of new work orders from time to time.
Okay. And you don't want to create new production order to complete the quantity that you haven't produced, right?
From a certain percentage onwards or below, no.
Okay. Okay. First of all,
Of course, if 50% is missing, we need to do it. But of course, if 5% or 10% are missing, it needs to be fixed. We do not want to reproduce in printing.
You already have this functionality on your system or not?
This is a problem in your current system. So the system does allow this, but finally we decided to have a cut. But of course, we wish to work with the integrated semi-finished
let me try to at this point. So first of all, when the system is proposing a production order, we can have two ways. So or the planner is increasing the quantity of the production order because he knows that to produce 1,000 pieces, you need to produce 10% more. So it's manually adding
this
some.
This is fixed in the BOM of material. So this is automatically in our system.
Okay. So you can, I don't know, make BOM of bit of material more bigger than what they're theoretically needed, or you can put a real clean bill of material, but you can add a rule on the MRP so that is adding some scrap percentage. So the requirement is 1,000, so the production order is 1,000 plus 10%, so 1,100. And these are two ways of working.
Okay.
Then your requirement, if I correctly understood, is if the requirement is 1,000 and at the end of production I was able to produce 990, it's okay. So don't consider any additional request because I'm within the tolerance. If it's more than a percentage, okay, so let's produce what it was requested. So that was your requirement.
You understood correctly.
Okay, so we take the point on this. There are some standard ways to manage, or let's take the point if the additional functionality are needed. Okay.
Yes, this will be the case for Mexico also, please. Yes.
The tolerances?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have a fixed tolerance that you use?
Yes, we use a fixed tolerance because we have different processes. But I think her point is that it happens here in Mexico that, for example, we put even 15% because we have to go through different processes. But let's say something happened in production, and instead of 10% or 15%, we have a scrap of 20, 30 or 35%. And the customers is asking for the difference, And then what we do is do the difference again manually. We say, well, we have to produce this difference again because the customer is requesting this the balance. And that's why we're asking if we have to put another order or forecast or what should we do? I think that was the question.
Okay.
Other points? Okay. So, very last step in the medium long term is that once you have affirmed this planned order and you start to get closer and closer to the production date, or yes, let's say you are prior to the scheduling activity, okay, you have to convert the planned order to a real production order. So the last step is this conversion from planned orders to production orders. So it means also that you see here these stars, little stars here. It just to say that beside the production orders, the MRP, of course, generates purchase order request, but also transfer order request. So if you have two plants and in one plant you produce a semi-finished product that supply another plant, your other plant, of course, the MRP will also generate the transfer order requests at step 2 of this flowchart. So once they create this production planned order. And at this last step here, where you can see the pointer, there you have also to manually convert the transfer order request to the real transfer order, or the purchase request to the real purchase order. So, but we are not talking here about purchase order. So this is just to tell you that every object that has been created as a proposal or a request now has to be converted to a real object in the system. So to a real production order or real transfer order.
And
Can I
when
just
do you-
ask, very quickly, just for my understanding, what is the time frame that
I missed you.
Yeah. I think I wanted to ask the same. Do you do it short before production, or you do it when you want? Or is there a process?
Can you repeat, because your voice was down for a time?
Yeah,
she's gone.
you want to know when you have to convert the planned orders.
Yeah. At least I
So-
want to know. I think she wanted to ask the same.
yes, and how long does this process take? Yes. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
sorry, we have bad connectivity here today. Yeah, Hildegard, I think you may have said the same. Yeah, I'm just trying to get an understanding of the timing.
Yeah, sure. So typically you convert the planned orders to the production order once you have to schedule it. So, for example, now we will talk about the short term, and we will talk about scheduling. So when we talk about the scheduling, it means that we are looking at the very short period, so maybe weekly, okay? So we are very close to the starting date of production for that production order. So for example, 1 or 2 weeks prior to the starting date, and we have to schedule it in this time horizon. So it means that at least a few weeks prior to the production date, I need to convert it from planned to production order in order to schedule it. But there is no fixed time. I mean, you can do it whenever you want, but of course this is an activity that will enable the possibility to schedule it in Sedapta.
So actually as close to production date 1 week
Yeah.
ago, as you fix the production date for the week. The production
Yes.
plan for the week.
Basically, Hildegard, right now in Italy, how does it work in SEC in the current process is that whenever the sales department issues a sales order in the system, so they create the sales order and they put the customer required date. Within 48 hours, this is an operational agreement which is valid for Italy. The planning team has to transform this planned order into a production order and provide them an initial production date. Even if this date will be changed in the future, at least this is the current logic and the current work organization that they use. This does not mean that this will also be for the future, but it's basically we need to design what will be the timing. Technically, there is no constraint when you need to do this, but in order to be able to plan and schedule the sorting in the Sedapta tool, you need to transform it into a production order. Of course, the closer to a realistic production date, the better, because this eliminates changes and reschedulings in all the other systems.
Okay, and the labeling will be done after that, so,
After scheduling.
yeah, okay.
Again, can I just check the material lead time? So if I understand correctly, excuse me, you have your medium long term, which can be, 2 months, 3 months, or however long. You can buy your materials against a proposed order, proposed production order, or a firm planned order. But you wouldn't be able to call your materials in until SADAPTA has run, so that based on the actual planned production date. Is that correct or not?
Yeah, it is correct.
Right.
No,
Okay. So if you're dealing, yeah.
What do you mean?
No. What do you mean?
Katrina,
The lead time.
Right, what I'm trying to understand is if you have materials on long lead times, and I know Carlos, for example, has said it maybe takes him 6 months to get something from Magenta.
Yes.
We're not quite as long as that. It could be 3 months. Some things we buy are 4 or 5 month lead times. So at what point would we be placing the purchase order for the materials?
Whenever it's not linked. So this is the point. The purchase order, you can manually also insert a purchase order if you have a very long lead time. You can manually input in the system, and then it's there. The point is the MRP provides you a date which is going from the sales order, exploding all of the bill of material, and then proposing you the dates for delivery. Of course, if you have very long lead items, which are longer than the time that usually goes between the production date and the delivery date to the customer, you can work in advance using either a forecast or manually putting the purchase orders. So there is no block. There is
no restriction.
No restriction to issue a purchase order against nothing, so against thin air. So you can buy against thin air.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Katrina, when you said cool material, I thought you were mentioning pick-up material for production, so not mentioning the purchase order. Okay. Andy, sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you.
Chiara, I think we have a question from Plant Barcelona.
Yes, hi. I would like to ask you about this step called feasibility analysis. And the question in premise is for Sergey, because Sergey is who knows more or SAP right now. Sergey, this step is like a Gantt diagram or something like that?
No, sorry, Sonia. I also don't know what the feasibility analysis. I also don't know what they mean actually. But so your colleague, I'm caught unprepared because I don't know S/4HANA.
Okay. No, what I understand that is like a scheduler. This. So you mean something?
Actually,
no, I think it's before.
Yeah, exactly. As Sergey says, it's before. I mean, this is an exercise at infinite capacity, so it's not a scheduler. It doesn't take into account the current, all the production constraints and etc., etc. So as during the scheduling activities that you will do, because you are very close to the starting production date, so you take into account all the effective material availability and production constraints. So here you are still in the medium long term, and you have at your disposal this tool in SAP S/4HANA that maybe our SAP colleagues can provide you more details about how it looks like graphically, okay, so you can understand better. But in very, very sum up, just to sum up, you will you have to imagine like graphs where you have along the horizon of time your resources, so that you can see the load on your production line, on your work center. And basically, you can see, based on the independent needs that have been elaborated by the MRP, if you have overcapacity on your production lines. But this tool just alerts you if you have some overcapacity, and then based on that, you can decide whether to change your production date on the planned order or not. So you can have a more accurate, let's say, planning activity, but it's still at infinite capacity.
Okay. Okay. In any case, if you can do it for us, like your colleagues of SAP can send us, how does it look like, or just to understand what is the difference between our SAP right now and this new SAP.
Yeah, Dario, Maria Lucia, are you still here in the call?
Dario has left. Maria Lucia, I think yes, but in any case, correct point. We will also have time to show you. Yes, also to show you the functionalities. So that's correct. So the quick answer, it's not a scheduling. It's more a night level capacity view, and of course there will be time to go more in detail and show you how it looks like. Chiara, I think I mean there are still many arguments and doubts, but we are running out of time. So I don't know if you want to take just 2 minutes to just set the next appointment, and we will also go back, and maybe we can also share this slide, which is full of content. Okay, so we need time to complete and to comment on this.
Yes, exactly. So I think the best thing to do right now is just to end this meeting. So we talk about planning for just the make-to-order model. So it's far enough. We have collected some business requirements that we will formalize in a minute, like in a summary. And we will also integrate this flow chart with the two different inputs that you mentioned. So not only sales order, but also forecast from client. Then, so please give us a little bit of time, since we have like a full schedule of meetings as well. So just to formalize everything. While next week, on our appointments, we can talk about scheduling, so we can conclude the overview over this model. And the next topic will be to design together the make-to-stock model. So based on what we collected a few days ago, that you basically produce also for the stock, both on finished product and semi-finished product, we will see which logics we can implement in the system in order to produce for the stock, so that we can also design this model and collect all your business requirements. Of course, if you have any other business requirements or doubts about the model that we saw today, feel free to reach out to us so that we can answer to your questions. Good. So if there are no points, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Bye. Bye.